Hello, everybody. I'm Jacqueline Whitmore. I am the founder and director of the Protocol School of Palm Beach, and this is my live weekly show where I bring to you all types of experts in many different arenas. My theme for the next few months is creating an elegant life, and our guest today is someone who can help us create a more elegant way of living in our mind, because the topic today is mindfulness, and our guest is Jodi Goldbeck. Before I bring Jodi on the screen, I want to share with you a little bit about her background. Jodi Goldbeck has been a full-time instructor at Madison College since 2009. She began studying mindset, grit, and well-being in 2015 after experiencing a series of unexpected challenges in her life. Based on her studies and the unwavering belief that individuals can change the trajectory of their lives, she developed a curriculum called Mastering Mindfulness, which is a series of one-credit courses that focus on topics including gratitude, resilience, habit building, listening, and many other topics related to living a happier, and I want to say, a more elegant life. Jodi has certifications in positive psychology from the University of Pennsylvania and University of North Carolina. She also completed a certification in the science of well-being from Yale University and the Foundations of Well-Being program through the University of California, Berkeley. So I would like to introduce to you my special guest today, Jodi Goldbeck. Hi, Jodi.
Hi, Jacqueline. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. I just want to share with the group how I know you. And you recommend my book, Poised for Success, to your students. You teach a course there at Madison College, which I'll let you talk to the group about today. And oh gosh, we have been corresponding for years. And you
Years.
subscribe to my newsletter, and you ask me every year, you invite me back every year to answer your students' questions about etiquette and protocol. And I'm
Right,
so grateful for that and for
right.
all your support.
Oh, and the book is so thoroughly enjoyed by all of my students, and they just learn so much. So I'm so grateful for it, and I'm so grateful that we connected all those years ago.
Well, I am too. And so I want to just jump right in. Now, mindfulness is a buzzword. I think it's really a hot topic right now. But what is it that interests you so much about this topic? And is there something in your life, was there something in your life that led you to study mindfulness and to teach it as a course at Madison College?
Yes, actually, back in 2015, I experienced a series of setbacks, as you mentioned in my bio, that um, wreaked havoc on my emotional well-being. I guess that's the best way to phrase it. And I experienced, and this is always difficult for me to say, but I always know that it has an impact on somebody listening. That I have always been a pretty optimistic person and had positivity. I had a positive outlook about things, but for about 9 months, I experienced severe anxiety and depression, both. And it was so debilitating that I didn't even know myself. I was sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, if that, which I've done a lot of studies on sleep now. And I know that what I was going through was partly based on me not getting that sleep that we all need as humans. And so that was part of it. I was also going through perimenopause, and that is a very serious health issue that we don't talk about a lot. And until I went to my doctor and started to piece together what was going on, not only my situational depression and anxiety, I was having these health issues that I wasn't taking seriously because I didn't know a lot about perimenopause. And then the not sleeping. So all of that combined together created this perfect storm of even more anxiety and even more depression. And it just kept getting worse and worse. So after about 9 months, I said to myself, you can't keep living this way. And so I decided to start doing research. I do teach at Madison College. I'm an instructor and I'm a researcher at heart. I love to read about things that I don't know a lot about and perhaps bring that to my students in the classroom and in various classroom settings. So I just thought, well, if I can do that for work, let's do that for yourself too. And so I started doing research on mindfulness and found so many things that worked for me, which then I ended up getting a grant at the college and they approved me taking the courses that you mentioned and getting certifications in positive psychology and all of those good things. And then I developed a curriculum and I have 3 1-credit classes called Mastering Mindfulness now. And the college supported that and supports me now. And I actually, starting in January, I will only be teaching mindset and mindfulness courses moving forward at the college.
Wow. So you found a way to turn lemons into lemonade, so to speak.
I really did. And I'm so grateful and so grateful that the college and my coworkers and the administration actually believes in this work, because it is something that we all desperately need, especially now as we are still going through this pandemic and going to be recovering from that for a very long time.
And do you find that people now more than ever need this type of information? I mean, you experienced anxiety and depression in 2015,
Yeah.
but now, I mean, it seems like everybody is on edge and could use this. I mean, do you have any statistics about how many people have gone through what you've been through?
Well, you can read statistics that up to when you just talk about anxiety alone, and I do a lot of research based on students because that's the population that I serve. But I recently read something in a journal for higher education that talked about up to 70% of students right now are experiencing not just mild anxiety, but anxiety to where they don't even know where to start on homework. They can't even think about attending regular class, face-to-face classes, much less virtual classes, and try to manage work and all of these different things that have just been exacerbated by the pandemic. So we're looking at a huge percentage, and those are of students. So imagine working mothers, working fathers, people that have all of these balls that they have to keep in the air, plus have to worry about staying healthy as well, physically and mentally healthy.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking about all the stay-at-home parents who had to help their children with homeschooling. I mean, it was like the perfect storm. The parents were stressed out, the kids were stressed out, and you're seeing it. You're seeing the after effects every day.
Yeah. Every day I was talking to a colleague yesterday and we said we have never seen or heard, we're hearing from a lot of students that they don't have the support. They don't have they almost feel like they don't have a way to cope with getting everything done that they need to get done because it just is so overwhelming. And we're seeing that every day. And I've been teaching full-time now for almost 13 years, and I've never seen anything like it. Specifically this semester, we're in November of 2021 right now. And I don't know, if it's because expectations were that the pandemic, we heard it, it's going to be 2 months. It's going to be 4 months. It's going to be a year. Now we're in, a year and a half, almost 2 years. And so I don't know what that is. If it's a lack of, you think something's going to be over and then your life doesn't necessarily change after this big dramatic event. I'm not real sure, but we're seeing it more and more.
So when did you actually see your life change? I mean, you said you experienced this for quite some time. When did you start seeing progress, and what steps did you take in order to make that progress?
That's an awesome question. So I will tell you the specific, I don't know the exact day, but I do know that it was in March, and we live on a hill I live in Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, and we live on a hill and we have our hill burned every year by the local fire department, a controlled burn to clear out all the dead plants and prairie grass and all of that. And I came home that day and the burn had already been done. And it was, towards that end of those 9 months. And I went and I stood by the hill, and we had done this every year. And I stood by this hill and I felt so connected to it. And the reason I felt so connected is because it's how I felt inside. I felt very dark. I felt lifeless. I felt that, I didn't feel like there was a lot of meaning in life at that time. And so I knew that I needed to change. And so I knew part of it was going to be my mindset. And so I joke about this in my classes, a lot of things lead to Oprah, and this particular day did. I literally went inside the house and started researching and found a YouTube video with Sean Acor, who I adore. He writes books on happiness, and he was a professor, and he had a happiness class that was very, very popular. And he and Oprah were talking, and that was the beginning of how I started the journey. And what it was is this was back in, like I said, 2015, 2016, but they had a 21 days to greater happiness course. And I took it. I spent $99 and I took this class to find out what it was. And what I found was, at the end of those 21 days, I started feeling better. And I started feeling better because I was actively participating in my happiness again, and what would work and what wouldn't, and what made me feel good, and what would get me over those humps. Now, don't get me wrong, I still attended therapy, and I needed to move more, and I needed to do some other traditional things, but this was a way for me to use my mind and figure out, okay, what can I do for myself to change things? And that's what I did. And so after 21 days, and this is the ironic part, but very true, after 21 days, I went to that exact same spot of the burn, and I saw little purple flowers showing up and little pink flowers in another area. And I had this epiphany of, wow, this hill was burned 21 days ago, but we're seeing life poke out of the ashes. And that's exactly how I felt after those 21 days.
Wow, what a great example. And it's like life imitating art.
It was such a metaphor for what was to come. And I think of that every year as we get this burned every year. I think, wow, look at where I was so many years ago when that burn happens. And I look at it, with such love now, and knowing that I persevered. I had grit. I had the audacity to think that, you can change your own life here. You just need to figure out what will work for you, and then bring it to others and find out for them what works best for everyone. Because what would work for you may not work for me, and vice versa. So it's finding that balance of what does work, and using that every day. And I use those skills every day to this day, this many years later.
I'd like for you to give our audience some action steps, because some people think mindfulness might be woo woo.
Meditation, sitting in the
Meditation.
room, right? Yes.
And what I'm hearing you say, that may or may not be a part of this, and meditation's not for everyone. And we have people who watch this show who are from all walks of life, all faiths, all ages, and so forth. It's not just women, it's men as well. So can you give us some actionable steps that people can take so that they can at least explore if this is something they want to do?
Yes, absolutely. So you have probably heard it a lot, but studies show that writing down 3 specific gratitudes every day is very helpful to our emotional well-being. So if you are able to write down, and not just my house, my family, my friends, writing down something very specific in your house that you're grateful for, or a place in your house that you're grateful for, a specific friend, a specific family member, a specific event. Do that I did that for those 21 days. I did other things, but I did that for 21 days. And just showing the abundance that we have in our lives can be very, very helpful. So that is the first thing that I start with because it's pretty easy to do. You can write it down on a piece of paper and throw it away if you'd like. You can keep it in a journal. You can put it in your phone. You can just say them out loud. But the key is that you do it. And I always suggest to people do it in the morning. And then at the end of the day, think about what you're going to say the next day, and you'll actively start looking for those things that are positive in your life, that you're going to be looking for things that you're grateful for. So it's just kind of a cue that you're doing that. And I know we joked about meditation, but I really think that mini meditations are really, really good. I am not great at sitting down. One of the things that I went to was a workshop on transcendental meditation. And that is, 20 to 40 minutes a day. And I couldn't get on. I agree with it. For me, it didn't work. And so what I do is mini meditation and breathing exercises every single day, multiple times a day. And I don't just say, okay, I'm focused on my breathing right now. Okay, I do it for a minute. I really sit down. I, put my phone away. I turn any indicators off on my phone, on my laptop, and I do breathing exercises. And it can be 3, 4, 5 minutes, but it really resets my day. And it doesn't mean you have to not think about anything. Meditation doesn't mean that you're not going to have any thoughts. That's impossible. We can't do that. But what you can do is focus on the breath going in, focus on the breath going out. If you have a thought come in, let it be there and then let it go and start with the breath again. That can be really, really effective. And then one other thing that I love doing, and I call them body boosts. And you can set your phone, or you can put a reminder on your calendar, however you want to do it. But it really is important every hour, especially for those of us that I do a lot of grading and I do a lot of online teaching. And so I'm in front of a computer. I have a standing desk, so I'm able to stand, but I also like to move every hour. And so even if it's 10 quick jumping jacks, some stretches, if you're sitting in a chair, even little chair yoga stretches, those are good too. We have to build up resilience in our bodies. We have to continue to move our bodies. So it's just really recognizing those types of things. And I like to call those body boosts. So, okay, I'm doing my body boost right now. And it can literally be 1 minute. And we can all do that. We all have the ability to do that. Even if you're working from home and you need to go and get a glass of water, do lunges on the way to getting your water. Do those types of things, because that just helps get that heart rate going. And it really does help with our brain health as well.
I read somewhere that sitting is the new smoking.
That's absolutely right. They're doing more and more studies on that.
And we are sitting so much, and we're on conference calls, video conference calls so much these days. And I think there's a lot of burnout with that. But back to your suggestion about doing these mini meditations, I just want to share with our audience an app that I have used that I find is extremely helpful, and it's absolutely free. It's called Insight Timer. And again, there's no charge for it. And you can set the timer for a specific amount of minutes. And then you can also set your background noise or not. And it's really, really quite interesting. But do you have any favorite tools or apps that you use?
Yes, I use Calm. I do like the Calm app. There is a free version of that, and then they have a yearly or monthly subscription as well. So, and it's called Calm, and they have some short stories. I'm better now, but my sleep issues continued for a while. It's a little bit of post-traumatic. I can get to the point where I'm falling asleep and then feel panicked that I'm not going to be able to sleep as long as I want to. I have those recurring thoughts. And so to get me to get out of my mind a little bit, they have these short stories on Calm, or you can listen to music, or like you said, background noises. So I really love that app. And I've never heard of the app that you mentioned, so I'm going to check that out.
Okay, and we'll certainly put these resources in the comments too.
Great.
So for anyone who's interested in exploring that. So how are you feeling now? How has this changed your life? Are you still, do you still have days where you feel like, oh, I need to make more progress? Or how do you feel?
Yeah, no, I feel very, very good. I am in a very good place. And what I'd like to say is that my struggles don't, life still happens. I still have trouble, struggles. I've had a death in the family. I have a sick parent. My son experiences, things that are sad during the day at school, and I have to help him. And, it's life still happens for me. And it isn't, oh, okay, I got through something and now it's just going to be easy. That's not what it is. But what I do know is that I have the tools to help get me out of those negative thought patterns if they do happen. And I do know that I'm resilient. And I am self-talking all the time. You are resilient. You have gotten through a lot. You will continue to get through it. I go to a lot of worst case scenario. There's a worksheet I created about catastrophic thinking. And I think a lot of us go to that worst case scenario too much when that's likely not going to happen. So where am I right now? How do I feel right now? And will that worst case scenario happen? And if it does, how will I respond to it? Because sometimes there are worst case scenarios. So that puts me in a really good mindset because I know that I can get through it. And what helps even more is my goal in life now is to help others get through their hard times through teaching my classes or attending my workshops or listening to a podcast or something that I might be on. And maybe one nugget of information will be helpful. And that's really what my goal is now for the rest of my career.
So you must hear some extraordinary stories in your
Yeah,
classes.
it brings me to tears. It does, in a good way. But I deal with people that have had trauma. But I will say I have somebody who's a veteran and he suffers from PTSD, and he took my 3 courses and said that he has been impacted more than he ever thought he could. In 12 weeks, he was able to make these changes that affected his life in a positive way. And that's all I can ask. And to hear that just brings me so much joy.
Do you have any books that you have read? You mentioned the one that the happiness book. Will you mention that one again?
Yeah, Sean Achor. He's written a couple of different ones. So just search for Sean Achor, Achor. I just think he's the best. I would love to meet him in person someday because he really did. I know Oprah's not going to happen, but maybe Sean, because he really did change my life. Literally changed my life. Another one is Jay Shetty, Think Like a Monk.
Oh, wow.
It's such a good book. And he has a podcast, actually. Jay Shetty, it's Shetty. He's amazing. And then Angela Duckworth, her name is, she wrote a book called Grit. And that was very helpful to me. Grit is the way that we get through things. And she really describes it. And that's what she studies. And she described it in such great detail in her book. So I recommend that as well.
Wow, those are some great resources. And I'm really excited about your new class. I mean, wouldn't it be a great world if every college and university offered this type of course? So
Yes.
you could be a trailblazer.
Oh, I hope so. And even if it's just here in Madison, Wisconsin, I'm okay. But I am getting people from other parts of the country as well. And they are not, overly, we're a community college and we're accessible to anybody. And they're online. So anyone in the world can take these classes. So I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have about those classes.
Well, we're approaching the holidays, and the holidays bring out anxiety in a lot of us. And sometimes the holidays are not as festive for some people as they are for others. And especially with what we all have been through. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, winter is coming up, and you live in a very cold climate in Wisconsin. And of course, that brings its own set of challenges. So if you could give our viewers maybe 3 tips that they can do immediately to get them through the next, I guess, 90 days, what would that be?
Mm-hmm. So the first would be establish a really good, I know I mentioned it, but a really good sleep routine now and through the holidays. Find a time that you are going to go to bed every night or most nights and wake up at the same time every morning. That is so key to our mental well-being, is getting enough rest. So please try to set a schedule where you can actually get to sleep at a good time and wake up at a certain time. And I know that can be really hard, but think about what you're doing say you go to bed at 11 o'clock most nights. Think about a way that you can maybe get to bed earlier if you can, and establish that routine. What do I need to do 2 hours before? What do I need to do an hour before? Do that. Second one is find 3 things. I know I talked about gratitude, but also make a list of 3 things every day that you want to accomplish, no matter how small they are, even if they need to be small for you to feel like you've checked something off a list. I'm a big list maker. So find 3 things that you want to accomplish that day. And then at the end of the day, look and see if you accomplish them and more. And I think that that helps people go, okay, I am moving forward and getting, doing what I need to do, at least if they're little things, even you're getting something accomplished. And then I guess a third would be, I know this is really hard and it's not a popular thing to say, but try to stay off of social media. We are sometimes, I am not on Facebook. I am on LinkedIn. I don't think anything's wrong with social media, but I think during the holidays, especially, we get this fear of missing out, or somebody else's life is better than ours. And remember that those are curated pictures. Those are curated videos. Those are small moments in time that you're seeing. But it's not good for our mental health to be comparing ourselves with others. So try to just take a break from that. Maybe in December, just don't go on. Don't go on social media. Just don't even give in to the pressure of that, and just live your own life. Live in the present moment. Take advantage of whether it's with a lot of family or no family, or family maybe that you don't necessarily want to be with, or friends, whatever it is, whatever your version of the holidays looks like, embrace it. Go day by day, appreciate that you're living, and take moments every day to be grateful for however you're spending the holidays. And maybe don't worry about anybody else's holidays with our Instagram or social media friends at all. It might be a good break for you.
I love those tips, especially the one about staying off social media, because you can't compare your insides with someone else's outsides. We never know. Either people are going through something, they've been through something, or they will go through something.
That's right. It's all part of the human experience.
It's called life.
That's right.
It's life. Well, Jodi, it's been really wonderful talking to you today. And you're the one who always interviews me, but now I'm so excited I got to interview you. And so I'm showing on the screen how our viewers can get in touch with you, Jodi Goldbeck at madisoncollege.edu. And when do you start your mindfulness class again?
So I started them last January. I've had almost 100 people take at least one of my courses. We have a series too called Building Blocks of Wellbeing, where it's 9 credits. You can take more classes and get certified in it, or a certificate in it, I should say. So I start again in January.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much and good luck. And I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And I just know that this video will reach the right person at the right time. And that's why we do these videos, because it's going to help somebody. And
that's my biggest wish, even if it's just one person. So please reach out, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
You're quite welcome. Thank you.